October 1st, 2026. A date etched in the annals of history. Under the cover of a typhoon warning, a storm of a different kind is brewing, one far more dangerous than any natural disaster. The world watches, unaware of the impending crisis about to unfold. Taiwan wakes not to the gentle patter of rain, but to the jarring shriek of air raid sirens and the deafening roar of fighter jets screaming overhead. The sky, once a symbol of freedom, is now filled with the ominous shapes of military aircraft. The island is on high alert. The Taiwan Strait, a narrow body of water separating Taiwan from mainland China, churns with a massive Chinese invasion fleet, an event the world has long feared, speculated about in war games and dismissed as unlikely. Now, it is a terrifying reality. The scale of the operation is breathtaking, a testament to years of planning and preparation. This is no drill, this is not a training exercise, this is war. The unthinkable has happened. In Washington, D.C., the president is urgently rushed to the Situation Room. Sleep-deprived advisors huddle around screens as satellite images paint a grim picture, revealing the full, terrifying scale of the assault. The weight of the world rests on their shoulders. Global markets nosedive into freefall, triggering circuit breakers and panic selling. Emergency meetings erupt in Tokyo, as Japanese officials grapple with the implications for their own security and economy. London and Brussels. The halls of power are filled with urgent whispers and frantic phone calls. Leaders everywhere ask the same desperate question: what now? What can be done? Condemnations pour in from across the globe, a chorus of outrage and disapproval. But words, however strong, are drowned out by the deafening explosions rocking Taiwan's coast. The invasion has begun in earnest. Taipei's people, who have lived for decades shadowed by this looming threat, now face its brutal reality head-on. Fear and uncertainty grip the city. Sirens wail incessantly, a constant reminder of the danger. Families rush to shelters, clutching their children close, praying for safety. Young conscripts, barely out of their teens, grip their rifles tightly, steeling themselves to defend their homes, their families, and their democracy against an overwhelming force. Across the strait, Chinese state media, under strict government control, frames the invasion not as an act of aggression, but as a historic reunification, a long-awaited homecoming. PLA soldiers are told they are not invaders, but liberators, fulfilling a sacred national destiny, righting a historical wrong. They are greeted by staged, cheering crowds and propaganda videos. But as the first shots echo across the beaches and casualties begin to mount on both sides, the carefully constructed propaganda narrative begins to crumble, giving way to the grim, undeniable truth of war. The world holds its breath, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, knowing that the stakes have never been higher. The global order hangs in the balance. The fate of Taiwan is no longer an abstract geopolitical debate, a theoretical exercise in military strategy. It's unfolding in real time on television screens and social media feeds around the world. The choices made in these first crucial hours, the decisions taken in crisis rooms and emergency summits, will irrevocably shape the course of the 21st century, determining the future of democracy, international relations, and global peace. The world stands on the edge of a precipice, watching, waiting, praying. The cost of inaction, or the cost of the wrong action, could be catastrophic, plunging the world into a new era of conflict and instability. The invasion of Taiwan has begun. The old world order is crumbling, and nothing will ever be quite the same again. The future is uncertain, and the world holds its breath, waiting to see what tomorrow will bring. Why risk global war over Taiwan? What makes this island so important that major powers are willing to contemplate such a devastating conflict? Because it's more than just an island on a map. It's a strategic and economic keystone in the modern world. Its unique position and technological prowess give it an outsized influence on global affairs. After 1949, with the conclusion of the Chinese Civil War, Taiwan became the last stronghold of the Republic of China, representing the nationalist government. Meanwhile, the mainland fell to Mao Zedong's communists, establishing the People's Republic of China. Both sides, despite their vastly different ideologies, claimed to be the true and legitimate China, fueling decades of intense political and military tension across the Taiwan Strait. This unresolved conflict continues to shape the region today. Taiwan sits at the very heart of the first island chain, a crucial series of archipelagos that act as a vital barrier. This chain is essential for containing China's navy and projecting U.S. power, and protecting its interests throughout the Pacific region. If China were to gain control of Taiwan, it would acquire a strategically vital deep water port, providing its navy with unfettered access to the Pacific. This would also give them a launchpad to directly threaten critical international shipping lanes and U.S. military bases. The entire Indo-Pacific balance of power would be fundamentally shattered. Economically, Taiwan's importance cannot be overstated. It is the undisputed chip capital of the world, with TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, producing over 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. Any armed conflict in Taiwan would trigger a catastrophic global depression, immediately halting technological innovation and crippling industries worldwide. The ripple effects would be felt in every corner of the global economy. For the United States, defending Taiwan is not just about protecting the island itself, but also about maintaining its credibility as a global power and reassuring its network of alliances. Failure to act in defense of Taiwan would severely undermine America's word and commitment to its allies everywhere, from Seoul in South Korea to Kyiv in Ukraine and beyond. It would embolden aggressors and destabilize the international order. The fate of 24 million people living on Taiwan hangs in the balance, and a conflict there has the potential to ignite a global war with unimaginable consequences. Taiwan's future is inextricably linked to the world's future, and its security is paramount to global stability. After the invasion, the world stands at a precipice. Every nation must choose a side, a decision that will reverberate through generations. The central question looms large: stand with Taiwan, upholding democratic values and international law, or stand aside, tacitly condoning aggression and potentially emboldening further expansionism. The choice is stark, the implications profound. The U.S. faces its most critical and agonizing decision: intervene directly, risking a catastrophic war with nuclear-armed China, a conflict that could engulf the globe, or abandon a key ally, sacrificing credibility and potentially triggering a domino effect of instability across the region. The weight of this decision rests heavily on American shoulders. American carrier groups surge toward the Taiwan Strait, a powerful display of naval might signaling resolve and a commitment to deter further aggression. This deployment is a clear message to Beijing. Japan, acutely threatened by a hostile neighbor on its doorstep and deeply reliant on regional stability, is compelled to act decisively, sending its advanced navy, including destroyers and submarines, to support the U.S. and its allies in maintaining freedom of navigation and deterring further escalation. Australia, bound by the AUKUS Security Pact and committed to regional security, joins the fight, providing its advanced Collins-class submarines, aircraft, including its F-35 fighter jets, and vital logistics, playing a crucial role in sustaining the Allied effort. The Allied front forms quickly, a coalition of nations united by shared values and strategic interests, but distance and the inherent risks of confronting a major power test their resolve. South Korea hesitates, its proximity to and precarious relationship with North Korea casting a long shadow over its decision-making. The threat of opportunism from Pyongyang looms large. In Europe, NATO debates the extent of its involvement, grappling with internal divisions and the potential for escalation on multiple fronts. Despite the internal debates, the UK and France, recognizing the global implications of the crisis, send naval assets to the Pacific, demonstrating a commitment to upholding international order. The world polarizes rapidly, democracies aligning against an authoritarian bloc led by China, a division that threatens to reshape the global landscape. The concept of neutrality vanishes as the conflict escalates, forcing nations to choose sides and accept the consequences of their decisions. Every nation's choice, whether bold or hesitant, will echo for decades to come. The alliances forged or broken now will irrevocably define the new world order, shaping the geopolitical landscape for generations. The lines are drawn in the sand, and the world braces for the storm that is about to break. The future hangs in the balance. This war is a test of alliances built to counter China's rise, especially the Quad and AUKUS. The Quad, US, Japan, Australia, India, coordinates military, economic, and diplomatic responses. The US brings firepower, Japan, strategic bases, Australia, logistics and strike capability, India, pressure on China's land border and in the Indian Ocean. AUKUS, Australia, the UK, and the US, focuses on deep military integration, especially undersea warfare. Even if Australia's nuclear subs aren't ready, the alliance ensures seamless cooperation. China tries to fracture these alliances with pressure and propaganda, framing the war as reckless American adventurism. The outcome depends not just on firepower but on the unity and resilience of these partnerships. If the alliances hold, China faces a formidable coalition. If they fracture, Beijing's ambitions may go unchecked. The war pits China's modernized PLA against the US and its allies in a contest of technology and will. China's advantaged geography and overwhelming missile power, aiming for a swift, decisive victory before outside help arrives. The PLA launches missiles, cyber attacks, and amphibious assaults, seeking to blockade and conquer Taiwan quickly. The US and allies counter with technological superiority, stealth bombers, nuclear submarines, and advanced fighters. Their strategy: deny China a quick win, turn the strait into a kill zone, and buy time for Taiwan's defenders. Submarines hunt invasion ships, bombers strike Chinese assets from afar. The battle becomes a brutal war of attrition, where speed and precision decide survival. Victory will hinge on who adapts faster, and who can endure the cost. Before the first missile flies, war erupts in cyberspace. China's hackers target Taiwan's power, communications, and finance, sowing chaos as the invasion begins. The US and allies retaliate, striking China's networks and infrastructure, escalating the digital war. In space, both sides target satellites, vital for navigation, communication, and intelligence. Anti-satellite weapons threaten to blind militaries and cripple global systems. Debris from destroyed satellites could render orbits unusable for generations, crippling everything from GPS to global finance. The silent war in cyberspace and space could be as devastating as the battles on land and sea. Modern conflict is total, digital, orbital, and kinetic. The Taiwan Strait becomes a high-tech battlefield. Ships, drones, and missiles clash in a deadly dance. Detection means destruction. The first to be seen is the first to die. Swarms of drones overwhelm defenses while stealth fighters duel for air superiority. Submarines stalk the invasion fleet, aiming to sink troop transports before they reach shore. US carriers operate from afar, wary of China's carrier-killer missiles. The risk of escalation is constant. If either side suffers catastrophic losses, the nuclear threshold looms. A conventional war could spiral out of control, threatening global catastrophe. The world watches, knowing a single miscalculation could change history. The stakes: survival, not just victory. War in the Taiwan Strait would send shockwaves worldwide. The loss of Taiwan's chip industry would cripple global tech and industry, triggering a depression. The South China Sea, a vital shipping artery, becomes a war zone, halting trade. Russia and other revisionist powers might exploit US distraction, opening new fronts in Europe and the Middle East. Refugee crises and humanitarian disasters would overwhelm Asia. Inside China, repression intensifies. In the West, political turmoil erupts. A new, dangerous Cold War would divide the world, democracies versus authoritarian powers. International institutions would falter, and trust would vanish. The interconnected world we know would fracture, replaced by fear and confrontation. The cost would be measured in lives, livelihoods, and lost futures. Are we ready for this? For the blood, the chaos, the economic ruin? Most nations and people are not. Taiwan's crisis is a perfect storm of history, geography, and ideology, sitting at the heart of US-China rivalry. A Chinese victory would reshape the world. A US-led defense would come at staggering cost. War could start by accident, and once begun, escalation would be hard to stop. The story of Taiwan is a warning. Peace is fragile, and the price of miscalculation is unthinkable. The world is not ready, the clock is ticking.